Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca, and we are going to wait just a couple of minutes as we can see they're still logging in to join the webinar. So you know you're in the right place. We're about to go over growing your practice with 5-star Google reviews. And there is a place where you guys can add questions. So if you already came in knowing you have a question, feel free to put it in the go-to panel box. You'll see there's a place for questions, and then we'll get to those either during the presentation or at the very end. And we'll just give people a moment. All right. I am going to jump in. You guys were all on time. I appreciate that. And so we're going to go in. This is going to be recorded. If you are here, you're going to be also receiving an offer afterwards, as well as this recording. If anyone else on your staff wants to see it, you'll have this as a reference moving forward. So my name is Rebecca Shade, and I have been working in pediatrics and family practice for 16 years. I have a passion for just helping practices to succeed, to reach their communities, to find effective communication, whether it's through their website, through their answering service, telehealth. We have a lot of solutions. Also, just because I have been around for a little bit, I know of some other great third-party solutions that may be a fit for you as well. But today we're going to delve into reviews and what that means for your practice moving forward and your providers. So just a quick covering of what we're going to touch base on. We're going to learn how to create a feedback platform for your patients and their families so that they can be seen and heard. And we'll go a little more into what that means. We're also going to look at examples of practices that have used our solution for Review Builder, what that looks like for them and how they're growing, and the importance of how that is set up on the back end for you and for your patients. And then we're going to look at your Google My Profile. If your Google Business Profile is set up, we're also looking at your Apple Business Profile. I know that doesn't say it here, but we'll have links for all of that. It's just another one that's important, another way to be found online. And then solutions. This comes up in most of my conversations with practices. How do we respond to reviews? Should we ignore them? Should we engage online? And so we have some helpful information I think you're going to find that we have garnered over the years, just doing this as long as we have, but also we have legal counsel we've received on this and seeing what the results are of responding to those reviews. So I want to start with a poll just to see where this group of people are at before we move further. So I am going to launch this poll. Hopefully this works. 1 second. There we go. Do you have a Google Business Profile set up? Yes, no, or unsure. Please just take a few seconds. We'll have this up for about 30 seconds to let everybody answer. Thank you for answering. I see those are still coming in. And this just helps me gauge to know what you guys need to know and where we're at. Okay. Not everyone is answered yet, but I'm going to close the poll here, give you about 5 more seconds in case you want to throw in an answer there. And we'll close that. So right now, where people voted was that 58% on the call said yes, they do have a Google business profile. Kudos to you, that's fantastic. 17% do not, and 25% just aren't sure if they do or not. So thank you for those answers. It definitely helps me know how to move forward with this. So the big thing with Google, and we do refer to Google a lot, I will also touch base on Apple. Google did over 90% of the searches in 2022 online, so their input is just super important to us. There are lots of search engines. You have Safari, Bing, Yahoo. There are a ton, but we do ultimately look most heavily at what Google does because of their far reach online. So really important to look there. By claiming your Google business profile, you're able to take control of how other people see you. You're claiming that profile, you can respond to reviews, you can add pictures, you can add frequently asked questions. There's a lot of power behind that listing. That listing should be for each location you have. So if you do have multiple locations, you do need to set one up per location. That will help people know that they're actually reviewing the location that they went to that day. And so we'll look at that a little more. We also want to make sure that you're showing up. Let's say you do have 2 or 3 locations. Are each of those locations all showing up on the Google map? And so that will help. And we're going to look at some examples of how this is done. So here you'll see on the slide I have Hometown Pediatrics of Joplin. They're one of our clients, and how they can be found. So first, when you're searching, you can either do it incognito mode, which is just those it's just another option to open a window. If you go on your screen, I have my 3 dots. I am in Chrome right now, and I can choose an incognito window. I can also just put in the name of the practice in the city. Because I'm in Colorado, I do have to do that. In your area, it should geolocate you at exactly where you're at, so that'll be helpful to pull that up. When you pull up the profile, some of you, at least 25% are unsure, and 17% do need to get this Google My Profile, business profile up. When you pull it, there is a place that'll say Own This Business. When you click on that, it's going to tell you who has access to this and who has set it up. So here you can see it's managed, and it'll give you, it's always a Gmail if it's Google, and you can go from there and you can request access as well. If you're not sure, another way to do it, and this link will be offered at the end of the presentation too, you can look it up in Maps. So here we'll type in the business name. And I'm going to pull Joplin here. And so this is going to pull up, just like I did before, another way to get to the same place, all of that access information for that specific practice. Let's say someone had access to it, and this does happen, where there was access, but then that employee left. And we know there is sometimes employees come and go, but you don't have access. It's under their Gmail account, and you need to get that access back. So I'm going to start here for those who have not set this up or are unsure. When you do go ahead and set this up, it is best practice to have it be an owner or partner in the practice because they're most likely sticking around. and then you don't have to go through these steps listed here on this page to transfer ownership, to bring it back to the correct person who actually owns the practice. But Google will help you, and you can go through that. We also have times when you need support in setting up the practice, or that there are more than one profile set up. So I had a practice this week. They had the normal name of their practice, and then they had their practice name and the name of two of their doctors attached to it, which was not as helpful. And so the one that was just the practice name, they actually owned, and the one with the doctor's name, it was not owned yet or claimed. So our suggestion is you do need to go back in, you need to claim the one with the doctor's name as well, and then you would go to this search support ticket here, and you would tell Google that you want to change the name, so it's not just the practice name, but into that provider's name, or that you could merge the accounts. There's things you can do so that you're not diluting those reviews by sending people to different places. A question that has come up again very often is, should I do a Google business profile for my practice and for every provider in my practice? Now, it's not bad to claim those that are in your practice, the providers, but what happens if you are sending reviews to the practice location and also to every provider, you're actually competing against yourself, and it dilutes those reviews. So our suggestion right now is to send it to the practice, and if you have multiple locations, to send the reviews per location instead, because again, we don't want to compete where each provider name is competing against the practice name as well. With that, if you have more questions, we can delve deeper there with you. And let's see, again, these links I just went through, they are going to be at the end here. So Apple Business Connect is another way you can be found online. That is Safari, is the browser for that in Apple. Some Apple phones, I'm an Apple user, but my phone, I have overridden it that it will open in Chrome. I've just used Chrome a long time. I really like the interface with Chrome, but a lot of Apple users, it does default on your phone for Safari since that is their browser. So with that, you also want to make sure you're being seen here with Apple Business Connect. This is gaining huge popularity. It's really going to overtake in the market this coming year. So important to have eyes on this, importance on this, and it doesn't take much to add your practice here as well. So again, when you, this link will be offered to you for Apple Business. You can go right to get started, and you can jump in and start signing up your business, and that would be fantastic. This will take you through what is Apple Business Connect. It's actually a little more powerful in how they've built it out on the back end than what Google offers. So I suggest watching the video and then going through and seeing what they have to offer and why it's important. Again, our audience, we want to meet our clients, our customers, our parents exactly where they're at. And about 70% of them for P's are on their phone. So Android is automatically going to go to Chrome. Apple will go to Safari unless, like me, you overrode it to open in a different browser. But in the meantime, to have both of these in your back pocket is really important. So we say you do want to set this up as well. I want to go to another poll real quick. So let's see here. We're going to launch this one. If you don't mind, it's very helpful if you guys could answer this. But do you already have a solution in place to generate Google reviews? We'll give you about 30 seconds here if you can jump in and vote. About half of you, a little more than half, have voted so far, so I'll wait just a little bit longer. All righty. I'm going to close this in 5 seconds. Jump in, add your vote. And it's okay to be unsure. Okay, so for this polling, we have some results. So the polling results, 36% of you said yes, 50% do not have a solution in place, and 14% are unsure. So I really appreciate that. Again, it helps us to know how to move forward with what I'm about to share. So there are multiple solutions available, and there are some good solutions out there. I might be a little biased. I think we have a fantastic solution. It has been tried and true for many years. We've seen the results. We've seen how it has helped practices boost their reviews. Again, I'm always talking Google, but you can send people to HealthGrades, Facebook, other platforms. You can send them to Yelp. Now, Yelp I don't recommend as much. They actually have to have a login to Yelp to leave a review. It's a little, you're not going to get as many reviews there. So I really like Google. The end process is that regardless of where you're sending people for the review, you always want to end up going back to Google at least once a month. And we'll walk through why that is so important. So I love Marketing Made This. I think it's adorable. And it is really a great graphic just to show you how are we going to send the message out to the people to grab those reviews and what happens to them. So the process here is that your clients or your patients, they're going to be texted each night. If you are with Office Practicum, this is already integrated and automated starting this week. That happened actually today. That was launched, that this is now automated. And so there's really nothing on your side you have to do if Office Practicum is your EHR solution. And if it is not and you use a different EHR, it's no problem. There's just a manual process where you do have to upload a file and click send. So not difficult, but it is important to do that daily to get the best response possible. So how this works is at the end of the day, we suggest a text message going out. And I'll just throw in, people ask, why not an email? Why are you texting? And the main answer here is I challenge you to look at your own phone. And when you pull up your own emails, I am going to gather that you probably have over 1,000 emails in your personal account that have not been read. I had a lady yesterday tell me it was over 10,000 and she is super embarrassed, but she just doesn't read her personal email anymore. There's just too much coming in. And I think that's a lot of us. Just reality in life, it gets busy and email is pretty easy to ignore. Then look at your phone and look at your text messages. For most people, that is going to be a pretty low number. Usually under 10 for most people I talk to, because there is an urgency when you get a text message to read it and take action. And it's usually super quick to take that action. So in that text message that goes out, we're asking a very simple question. I pulled up an example here just for a practice we do it with. I am going to pull this into a cell phone mode because that's how they would receive it, is it would look like a cell phone. So up here, you can write whatever you want. We have some default text that is in there as a placeholder, but you can ask them whatever you want. We say short and sweet. We want it to be at a glance, really quickly, what are we asking them to do? And we really just want to take their pulse. How was that visit? Overall, we're not asking specific questions yet, but when they left, what was their feeling of how they left and how that visit was. And it's a 1 to 5-star rating. Now with this rating, you set the threshold. Our recommended threshold is 4 or 5 stars. It's going to send them right to Google or whatever platform you choose. We want 0 hurdles. We just want them to be able to tell the world that you are awesome. And we want to give them a straight path to be able to do that. So here, if I choose 5 stars, within 3 seconds, it's going to pop up right into their Google business profile that I can leave a review right here. They do have to choose a star rating, and then they can list their experience right there. If that was not what my experience was as a parent and something went wrong during the visit, our recommendation is 1 to 3 stars goes to a survey. And this is where we were talking about people just want to be seen and heard. If you do not give them a platform to be seen and heard, which you may know personally at your own practice, they are still going to shout it from the rooftop. And in fact, the people that are most upset are generally the ones that are going to be the loudest. And so you'll see, 1-star reviews. A lot of practices will say we have 5-star and 1-star reviews. Not a lot in between, because people just really want to share if they have the best experience or the worst. But instead of sending them right to Google, what we're doing is we're going to ask a few questions and find out what did go wrong. And this really helps. So here I'm just going to say it was a 3-star process. I'm going to move this back into a larger screen for you guys to see, but again, they would see it probably on their phone unless it's connected to an iPad or a computer. So through that, you can ask whatever questions you want. These are our suggested questions and answers. If you have multiple locations, we can also at the very top ask for the location, and that does 2 things. When they choose the location and then they give you 4 or 5 stars, it goes to that Google landing page for this specific location. Or when they're doing the survey, you know which location it refers to. So with these questions, you'll notice that they are 5-star review answers as well. When someone looks at a survey, and I just want you to think personally in your own life, because you probably get these often, you go to the dentist, you get a survey. You get your tires rotated or an oil change, or you go to a restaurant, you get a survey. It just happens all the time. People are super used to this. But when they pull up the survey, if it looks like it will take more than about a minute, it decreases the chance that they're going to fill it out. We really like fast and easy. We're happy to give feedback, but we don't want it to take 5-10 minutes to do it. So because of that, you choose, but I recommend no more than 5 questions here. I like a linear process. That's how my brain works. Not everyone does so, so you pick how you want to do this. But often we'll start at scheduling. How easy was it to schedule that appointment? So before they ever walked in the door, how was that experience? And then you want to go through asking about check-in, their time with their provider. And I just want to throw this in. Most of the time we get the reviews back, and we'll look through and say, what are the reviews coming back as? A lot of the time, most of the time, it's not about a bad experience with the provider. It really isn't. It's about something else that went wrong during their visit to the practice. So this really reveals some blind spots you might not see in workflow with other staff and employees, or something that's not being clearly communicated to your audience. So it's pretty awesome. You might want to ask about how they were treated. Did they feel like they were treated with kindness and respect from staff in general? Some ask about the cleanliness of the practice. If you know you have a pain point, like maybe your parking lot is a pain point, it's really hard to find parking, or they have to park further away or something, then maybe that is a question you ask. If billing is a pain point, I'd throw in a billing question. But those are all 1 to 5 stars, quick answers. The last question we ask is going to be an open text box. Please leave additional comments. We'd love to reach out to you, leave your contact information, something very friendly, open-ended, so that if you did not hit on their pain point, now they have a platform to tell you what went wrong, and they can say whatever they want. The beauty of this is it does not get posted to Facebook or Google or HealthGrades. It goes right to your office. So you decide who receives it. That email is just going to be a link back into the back end, so you do have to log back in case that parent or patient did leave PHI in that response. We want to make sure that that they have to log in to see that, and it's not just an email. And the happy people were sent right to Google to leave that quick review. One more thing that has come up with this, I have practices that are trying to get maybe a PCMH certification or another reason, different grants from a state, and they need 100% of the reviews going to a very specific survey. We can set that up. So 100% go to the survey, and then there's still a link at the end that they can click to leave a survey or their responses on Google if you want to do that. When I've done this in the past, we get less Google reviews that people feel like, I just answered your questions. I don't want to have to answer them again on another platform. But some people may copy and paste their answer on. But just know that that is a possibility. Not only can we change where they land for reviews, they can go right to the survey on the opposite side for 100% of those that come through. So we are going to scooch on to our next question. I do see a couple questions have come in. I'll read through those as you guys are doing my next poll. Okay, so I'm going to launch this one. This is sticky for some practices. Does your practice have a plan in place for the best way to respond to positive and negative reviews? If you could go ahead and take a moment to answer. We'll wait just a few more seconds for a few more votes here. We're almost done. Okay, I'm going to shut that down and share the results of this as well. So you guys are a little split here on having a solution for reviews and responding to them. 47% were yes, 27% no, and 27%, very honest here, that they just don't respond to reviews. So we're going to take a peek at this and why it actually is super important to respond to the reviews that come in. I did see a question come in, so we're going to cover this. It was, is there a way to remove negative reviews, especially if it isn't factually correct? So we will be looking at that. Thank you for that question. So looking at just responses in general, I say when a review comes in, and to respond, you have to have a Google Business profile set up for that response. There's no way to respond if that first foundational step is not taken. So I suggest read the review more than once. Sometimes at first reading, we're not objective enough. We may have taken one piece of it personally. And so read through, even if it's a positive review, read it at least 3 times before you put together a response to put online for them. Here are just some suggestions I have that I have found really helpful with this. In your responses, try to stay positive. Try to keep emotion out of it and just to stay positive and pointing out the positive. So we like to say in your first sentence, it's good to repeat the name of the practice and then state something that is positive about the practice, either reiterating and pulling from whatever they had to say. We'll show you some examples so you can pull that into your response, but always staying positive. You do want to respond to all reviews. Now, if you have not responded to reviews, don't go in and all of a sudden go back to 3 years ago and start responding. You could stir up a hornet's nest there. You don't want to do that. We have suggested not going back more than 2 months. For you, you might say, okay, I'm going to start today, or I'm going to go back to the last month of reviews that came in and respond to those. I really wouldn't go back further than that as you're doing it. And then the other is, as you're reading these and rereading the reviews before you respond, is to take time to be open to that feedback. You might have more than one person, maybe at your provider meetings or staff meetings, read both positive and negative reviews that have come in so everybody's aware. If there was a kudos given, shout it. This is fantastic. We want to reinforce this awesome behavior our staff had, how we worked as a team. So you're reinforcing something awesome. And if it was a critical review, to step back and say, hey, we might have a blind spot here during check-in. Getting different views from the people that work in the check-in process to see how that workflow might be updated to meet the needs of the patients and parents coming in. So, sorry, there was one more thing here. Sometimes when there's a negative review, which we'll look at in a moment, sometimes you can figure out who sent it. It's not always the real person's name. There are a lot of fake names that people use, or it's a first name with an initial. So you cannot always do the detective work and figure it out. But if you do know, a phone call goes a long way to be able to reach out to that family and either thank them for the review or to go into, we are really concerned, we read this, and we would love to be able to discuss it further to open conversation. Want to point out here, if someone is pointing in the review that there was medical negligence, that's when you, instead of posting right away, you do want to go to legal counsel and decide the best way to move forward if someone's stating that. If the parent or patient has actually listed PHI in their response, you can also go to Google and say this is a HIPAA violation because the child's name's on here, it's patient health information, and there might be a way to pull that down. It does take a really long time to be able to do that. So now let's move on to positive. We'll start here. How do we respond to positive reviews? So here, again, stating the name of your practice somewhere in that first sentence again, agreeing with what they say and thanking them for their feedback. So I've just given a few examples here. Due to time, I'm going to move. I think a lot of you want to know about negative reviews and how to respond. So this first one, I changed the name of the practice. This is a true review that we went out with the question that came in, what if it is a false review that comes in that's negative? That happened in this situation. And so they were blasted online. It wasn't truthful. There were some lies in what that parent said. And so I helped them come up with a better answer that wasn't emotional and that would hopefully kind of help bring down the anger, and if other people read it, they would understand that this was a unique situation. So here we said, Pretend Pediatrics was born to meet the needs of our surrounding community and families. We care deeply for the families and patients we partner with in their health journey. Due to privacy concerns, details cannot be discussed online, but we welcome a phone call to discuss this further. Thank you for reaching out to us. The parent did not respond. Again, usually if you say, hey, this is due to privacy, we need to shut this conversation down, it helps tremendously with that. So there's a couple more. You'll get this also sent to you, and you'll be able to see what some other good responses are for negative and positive. So for questions, I know we're right at time here. I'm sorry I'm a couple minutes over, but I want to make sure that I've answered any questions you may have. There was another one in here. When setting up Apple Business Connection, will that be signed up in the clinic name or your personal name? We always recommend the practice name. So when you go in to set that up, please use your practice name as you do that. Let's see, there's another. Oh, I answered this one earlier, sorry, about if there are multiple names, practice names, but it really is for one location, you'll use that support link to go in and to update that there. We do have a page of links and resources that will be sent with this. These are all hyperlinks that will help you a lot for Google. Apple's a little simpler of a process. We have one link to get you started there. We have attached our client success story. This is a practice. If you want to read it, it's a white paper. They had tremendous success switching over to Review Builder, had great success in moving up their ranking, which is what we want to see for you, and want you to have that same story. So lastly, thank you for jumping in and attending with me today. We would love your feedback. There is a survey at the close of the session. If you could take just a moment to fill that out, that is greatly appreciated. And on August 2nd, we have our next one. We're going to deep dive into medical content on your website. I'll stay on for just a moment. If there are any more questions, put them in the box and I'm happy to answer. Thank you for coming today. There's also some handouts, I was told. So if you go on the right-hand side or wherever your screen pops up, you'll see there's some handouts you can click on and grab those PDFs too. Thank you so much.